Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You blame Shaitan every time you fall, every time you delay, every time you give in. Shaitan tempted me. Shaitan distracted me. Shaitan made it look beautiful. But let me ask you something uncomfortable. If Shaitan disappeared tomorrow, would you suddenly become disciplined? Would you wake up for Fajr without resistance? Lower your gaze without struggle? Control your anger instantly? Or would something inside you still resist? That something is your Nafs. And until you understand this, you will keep fighting the wrong enemy. Shaitan whispers. Your Nafs agrees. And that agreement, that internal handshake, is where sin is born. Allah tells us in Surah Yusuf, Ayah 53, Indeed, the soul is surely inclined toward evil, except whom my Lord has mercy upon. Inclined. That means your default setting, without discipline, is not righteousness. It is comfort, it is indulgence, it is self-preservation. Your nafs doesn't want growth. It wants ease. It doesn't want sacrifice. It wants satisfaction. It doesn't want submission. It wants control. And here's the psychological reality. Your nafs is smarter than you think. It doesn't always say, commit a major sin. It says, you're stressed, you deserve this. It doesn't say, abandon prayer. It says, you can pray later. It doesn't say, be arrogant. It says, you're just defending yourself. Subtle, strategic, convincing. Shaitan plants the idea, but your nafs builds the justification. And the moment you justify, you've already lost ground. Let's be real. When the alarm goes off for Fajr, is Shaitan physically holding you down? Or is your nafs saying, 5 more minutes won't hurt? When temptation appears on your screen, does Shaitan force your hand? Or does your nafs whisper, no one will know? This is the battlefield. Not dramatic, not cinematic, quiet, and it happens every single day. The Prophet said that the true warrior is the one who struggles against himself for the sake of Allah, not the loudest debater, not the most politically outraged, not the one who posts the most reminders, the one who conquers his own soul, because conquering the self is harder than conquering an enemy. An external enemy is visible. Your nafs hides behind your desires. And here's the terrifying part. If you constantly obey your nafs, it grows stronger. Every indulgence feeds it. Every excuse strengthens it. Every delay empowers it. And slowly, discipline starts to feel unnatural. Prayer feels heavy. Lowering your gaze feels extreme. Patience feels impossible. Not because Islam is hard, but because your nafs has become dominant. You trained it. You trained it to expect comfort. You trained it to avoid hardship. You trained it to seek validation. And now it resists anything that threatens its authority. Understand this deeply. You cannot defeat Shaitan while being enslaved to your nafs. If your desires align with his whispers, he doesn't need to work hard. But when your nafs is disciplined, his whispers lose power. Because there is no agreement. Islam does not ignore this reality. Our tradition describes levels of the soul. There is the nafs al-amra, the soul that commands evil. There is the nafs al-lawama, the self-reproaching soul that feels guilt. And there is the nafs al-mutma'inna, the tranquil soul at peace with obedience. You are not stuck, but you are becoming something. Every choice pushes you toward one of those states. Right now, ask yourself honestly, when you sin, do you feel immediate guilt, or do you feel casual? If guilt is fading, that's not maturity. That's danger. Because guilt is a sign of life. A dead heart doesn't feel remorse. A disciplined soul feels tension when it disobeys Allah. That tension is mercy. But many people silence that tension. They distract themselves. They normalize it. They surround themselves with others who do the same. And over time, what once felt wrong feels normal. That's not Shaitan's final victory. That's your nafs being crowned king. And once your nafs sits on the throne, everything revolves around it. Your schedule revolves around comfort. Your friendships revolve around validation. Your goals revolve around status. Even your religion becomes selective. You follow what aligns with your desires. You ignore what challenges them. That is not submission. That is customization. And Islam is not meant to be customized to your nafs. Your nafs is meant to be trained by Islam. Look at fasting. Why is it powerful? Because it forces your nafs to hear the word no. No food, no drink, no indulgence. And you survive. In fact, you grow stronger. That's a lesson. Your nafs screams like it will die without pleasure. But it won't. It only loses control. And control is what it fears most. The reason many people avoid discipline is because discipline feels like suffocation to the ego, but it's oxygen to the soul. Let that sink in. What feels restrictive to your nafs is liberating to your ruh. When you lower your gaze, your nafs feels deprived, but your heart feels lighter. When you wake up early for prayer, your nafs feels irritated, but your soul feels elevated. When you stay silent instead of arguing, your ego feels attacked, but your character grows. This is the paradox. Short-term discomfort, long-term strength, short-term indulgence, long-term weakness. Your life is the sum of these repeated decisions. So, where are you consistently losing? Is it anger, lust, procrastination, pride, addiction to comfort? That is your arena, not social media debates, not external enemies. Your real jihad is private. When nobody sees the urge, when nobody hears the whisper, when nobody would expose you, and you still say no. That's power. Because the believer who masters himself cannot be easily manipulated. Not by trends, not by pressure, not by whispers. He becomes steady, calm, grounded, unshakable. And Shaitan fears that person. Not the loud one, not the reactive one, the disciplined one. Right now, you have a choice. Feed your nafs or train it. Feeding is easy. Sleep in, scroll longer, indulge more, excuse yourself. Training is harder. Wake up, lower your gaze, control your tongue, guard your time. But training builds identity, and identity determines destiny. Your real enemy isn't the one whispering, it's the one agreeing. It's the version of you that chooses ease over obedience, comfort over growth, desire over discipline. Defeat that version of yourself, and everything shifts. Your prayer deepens, your focus sharpens, your confidence strengthens, because you're no longer divided inside. You become aligned, and alignment is power. So stop outsourcing the blame. Look within, strengthen your will, starve your ego, discipline your desires, because the greatest victory is not over Shaitan. It's over yourself. If this made you uncomfortable, sit with it. If this changed your perspective, subscribe. Because the next video might change your life.